God's covenant with Abraham has two divine pillars, salvation and the kingdom. You can have salvation and still miss the kingdom, but you can never enter the kingdom without salvation. So how does one attain salvation? Moses showed the way through a divine command. In Deuteronomy 6 verse 4, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." This declaration of God's oneness is central to Judaism, and it is the very foundation of Islam. Without this belief, there is no entry into heaven. Then came Jesus, but his message wasn't about heaven. It was about the kingdom of heaven. Yet many speak of the kingdom through Christ while denying God's oneness. That's like trying to graduate without attending school. It simply doesn't work. The Abrahamic Covenant includes both schooling and graduation. That's why Moses came first, and then Christ. You need both steps. God laid the foundation of Islam even before Ishmael's birth. His name means God hears, a sign that he approached God directly, with no priest or mediator, just like Moses and the early patriarchs. His journey was forceful, disciplined, because schooling demands structure. Israel, on the other hand, was called to ascend spiritually, to take up the Aliyah, like Jacob. Their refinement came through emotional struggle. And not everyone could approach the Holy of Holies. Only the high priest could mediate before God's throne. That was graduation. Abraham passed both tests. He mastered the approach of Ishmael and the ascent of Israel. He fulfilled the full covenant, from salvation to the kingdom. Genesis 18 verses 20 to 21 says, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin so grievous." Ezekiel 16 verses 49 to 50 reveals the deeper cause. They were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. The sins of Sodom and Gomorrah weren't just about sexual immorality. They were rooted in pride, indulgence, apathy, injustice, and violence, a total collapse of moral and social order. The only safeguard against such decay is a faith strong enough to discipline people. Most people are not natural seekers of truth. They need guidance backed by discipline and structure. Sodom and Gomorrah represent more than cities. They embody hell itself, the end of human life due to unchecked human desire. Abraham interceded for Lot and saved his family. In doing so, he learned a great lesson. Without force and discipline, even the righteous can perish under collective sin. Free will has a limit. When it begins to threaten the safety and rights of others, it must be restrained. Justice demands consequences. But Abraham's journey didn't end with salvation. He had to be prepared for the kingdom, the highest realm of heaven. To enter it, he faced a test like no other, a trial of pure obedience and unshakable love for God. He was willing to sacrifice his own son, as a proof of total surrender to God's voice. Abraham was no ordinary man. He is the father of faith. He gained access to the glory of God. Through that sacrifice, he opened the door for his descendants to enter not just heaven, but the kingdom, the highest place near the throne. In this act, Abraham mastered both schooling, which is salvation, and graduation, that is the kingdom. Before judgment, these two paths must unite. That's why Islam awaits the Mahdi, the one who will bring back the lost knowledge of the covenant and the uncorrupted gospel of Christ. The gospel of the kingdom. He is linked with Christ because the two parts of the covenant converge at the end. In Revelation 14 verses 6 to 7, followers of Christ are given a final call. Worship the Creator, a return to Abrahamic monotheism. Without this foundation, there is no heaven and no kingdom. Those who reject this core declaration are like those who are trying to graduate without going to school. In doing so, they risk losing both salvation and the kingdom. Visit the channel Prophetic Insights and watch related content for a deeper understanding about Abrahamic faiths and their role in the end time. Thanks for watching.